and a white radiance lies upon it. To Zeus belongs the wide heaven in the clouds and the ether.
We know that in the 7th century, Macedonia was organized in a state. This place was the important place for the cult, for the public cult and for the state cult. And from the classical period, we know that the Macedonian kings celebrated here a very important victory, and that all Macedonians celebrated every year a festival for the Olympic Zeus. The cult is both, it's really a form of religion, also a public action, a public act, and therefore is important also for the policy. And we have evidence that here were published texts which are in relation to the foreign policy of the Macedonian kings.
Archaeologists had always known the religious significance of Dion because of its location at the base of Mount Olympus. Through ancient writings, they also knew the old temples and shrines should contain the finest statues and offerings. However, searchers in the 1920s and the 1960s failed to find them. And it wasn't until the 1970s that Dion yielded up its treasures.
I started to study the cult, the ancient cult, because cult is the subject of for Dion. And cleaning an ancient excavation area, about 10 centimeters lower from the level abandoned from the first excavator, I found the first statue. And in a few days, I found more than 5 statues, marble statues of the classical period. This is an impulse to continue the excavation. We have the finds we expect. I mean, if you excavate sanctuaries, you find statues. This is logical because the people offered in the central sanctuaries beautiful things. Every Greek army had to be purified every year because ancient people believed that to kill also in the war was a bad thing, and the people, the warriors, they had to be purified. And we know that was made in spring, and the place for that was Dion, for the Macedonians. And this is also the reason why Alexander the Great started here his expedition. He purified here the army, he sacrificed to the Olympian Zeus, and he went to Asia for his expedition.
If it were not my purpose to combine foreign things with things Greek, to traverse and civilize every continent, to search out the uttermost parts of land and sea, to push the bounds of Macedonia to the farthest ocean, and to disseminate and shower the blessings of Greek justice and peace over every nation, I should not content to sit quietly in the luxury of idle power.
Alexander arrived in Egypt after a long military campaign. It had seen Alexander and his army, drawn from all over Greece, cross into Asia Minor in 334 BC. They defeated the mighty Persians at the Battle of Issus, before pushing south through Syria and then into Egypt. An extraordinary advance.
At that time, no race of mankind, no city, no single individual, whither the name of Alexander had not reached. And so not even I can suppose that a man quite beyond all other men was born without some divine influence.
Alexander came to Egypt for several reasons. One was to finally defeat the Persians who were in charge of Egypt at the time, and also to take over Egypt, which is a very important, influential country in the Mediterranean, and to take over her wealth, and also to be acknowledged as official king in Egypt. And of course, as you know, when Alexander came to Egypt, he was told that he had to go to the famous oracle of Jupiter Ammon, which was located in the Siwa Oasis. The Siwa Oasis is in the western desert of Egypt, in the Sahara, fairly close to the modern-day border with Libya. And here there was a famous oracle, which was renowned in the ancient world, not perhaps the same prestige as Delphi, but it was a famous oracle. And Alexander, when he conquered Memphis, which was the administrative capital of Egypt at the time, was then told that he had to go to this oracle to be claimed as legitimate ruler of Egypt, and also to try and verify this notion that he was the son of Jupiter Ammon. He took his armies there, arrived at Siwa, at the oracle, and we still have the remains of this structure today. His army they were all told to wash themselves, to cleanse themselves, but only Alexander was allowed to go into the structure of the oracle within the temple. There he went into an empty room and issued his question to the god.
The chief diviner welcomed him on the god's behalf, as a father greeting his son, and he asked whether any of his father's murderers had escaped punishment. At this, the diviner commanded him to speak more guardedly, since his father was no mortal, whereupon Alexander changed his question and asked if all the murderers of Philip had been punished, and if he was destined to rule over all mankind. The god's reply was that this would be granted to him, and that Philip's death had been completely avenged. And some say that the prophet, wishing to show his friendliness by addressing him with O Paidion, or O my son, in his foreign pronunciation ended the word with S instead of N, and said O Paidios, and that Alexander was very pleased at the slip in pronunciation. And a story became current that the god had addressed him with Ope Dios,